Welcome to Review the Light. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Nitecore EC4SW in neutral white. So, as you can see, it's in the standard Nitecore packaging. I will let you look at each side of the box for just a moment, and you can pause it if you want to take any more time. Now here at the front, this is claiming 2000 lumens. There's that. You can see kind of a cutout of the body, which is kind of interesting, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Here's the back, final side, and that's it. So we'll go ahead and open it up. Now the EC4SW is a kind of a newer version of a very similar light. Nitecore's first, or I guess as far as I know, the first die-cast aluminum body flashlight. So previously I reviewed the EC4. You can see here a very similar flashlight to the EC4SW. The only difference, or the main difference, I guess, is going to be the red screw of the tail cap and the emitter, which we'll take a look at in a little bit. But the main thing that makes both of these lights different from your average aluminum flashlight, generally they're taken from like a tube of aluminum and just kind of bored out, but instead this is made with a dye, a metal that they pour the liquid aluminum into, and they sent me one of these. You can take a look. This is just the body when they've just done the die cast portion before they've stuck in the electronics in it or done any of the coating or anything. So it's kind of interesting to look at. You can see the process here. This is the body of the flashlight, pretty interesting, and how the tail slides on right there. So again, there's a lot of things that are different than the normal flashlight here. I will point out, like, it's got the standard heat fins here. They're just in a different arrangement than you might see normally on a flashlight. Generally you see them going around because it's just easier when you are cutting off an aluminum tube to have the circle go around it. But with their die cast, they can make it look pretty much whichever way they want, and they've taken the liberty to do some pretty interesting things with the body design here. A guy that reviews a lot of flashlights, I'm always interested to see something different than average. I guess before we get into this, I'll just also get this boring stuff out of the way. Warranty card, lanyard with the Nitecore logo, manual. Again, if you want to see anything in detail, feel free to pause it for a moment. Alright, now we got that out of the way. Oh, and the holster. So, there you go. Back to the flashlight. So the interesting things about this, like I mentioned, is you got the die-cast body. Also, you can see, maybe you can see on the camera, the finish is more of a matte than glossy, would be the way that I describe it. So most, flashlights of this grade have more of this glossy. Here's another Nitecore light, kind of this glossy aluminum black finish over the aluminum versus the matte here, and it kind of feels a little bit different also. I like the feel of it. I like the look of it. It's just a bit more interesting. And then the hint of red here in the design is pretty cool. Like I mentioned, I always am interested to see something a little bit different. This makes it stand out a little bit, makes it a little bit more interesting, more eye-catching, so I appreciate that. The emitter here is the MTG2 emitter by Cree, and you can get a look down in there at that emitter. So it's a pretty large one compared to the XML2, which is the one in the EC4. You can get the sense of the size difference there. So the MTG2 is going to output, has a higher maximum output than the XML2 emitter, but it's generally a little bit less efficient, so that's the trade-off there. That's why we can get 2000 lumens out of this. It's just not going to be quite as efficient as the XML2 series usually are. So that's that. And you can also see the reflector there. It has that bit of texture to it to smooth out the beam. We've got the stainless steel bezel here. That's all pretty common. Let's see, we've got the model name there, blank on this side, and the Nitecore logo is imprinted into the tail section here, which is pretty interesting how they have that done. And then that's what the tail looks like. So if you get that screwed on too tight, we've got kind of you can stick a large screwdriver in there possibly to get that off. And I'll test this. It looks like this will actually fit on like a tripod mount. So I'll test that and see if that fits on a tripod mount. I'll let you know what I find out. So to open it, you unscrew it, and then this comes out. Here you can look inside the tail. And there's down the tube of the body. So you slide 2 batteries down there. And this is pretty interesting. Now you just have to be careful. It says it's got reverse polarity protection, so I guess even if you get your batteries in incorrectly, then you should be okay. But they do have it marked on the side here the way the battery should go, and it's just kind of what you would expect to be standard. You stick the positive terminal with the bump towards the flat section, and the flat side, the negative terminal, towards the section with the spring. And then you line it up the same way over here. You got a spring going to the flat negative terminal and the bump going to the positive terminal. And then screw that down and you're good to go. So it's all controlled by these 2 buttons right here. This is the on and off switch and the mode selection switch. So standard operation, you'll just turn it on with a click of the on switch there. And then rotate through your brightness modes using this mode switch. There's 5 different brightness levels. You can see this one's pretty low right here, but you can get an idea of that. And you can see this is kind of the beam pattern of the MTG2 emitter. You can see it's got that very thick hot spot in the middle that takes up the majority of the beam, and then a little bit of flood outside too. That's because that emitter is just so large, it's such a large area. So there's the lowest setting. Then we'll bump it up 1 to this, the 3rd brightness, the 4th, and the 5th. So it's got a wide brightness range from about 2 lumens to 2,000 lumens is what it claims. And also a feature that I really appreciate on any light that I see this, I'm always really excited to see this. You can get directly to the highest brightness by, when it's off, holding down on this front switch here for about a second, and then it goes straight to the highest brightness no matter what mode you use last. Or you can get straight to the lowest brightness by holding down on the rear switch for a second. Normally, you know, if you have the light on, say I'm in one of the medium modes, and I just click the on button, it goes back to whatever mode I used last. But I always have instant access to the highest output or the lowest output. So that's really nice. You can just imagine for yourself all the situations where that could be useful in. Let's see, another feature is if the flashlight is on, if you, instead of turn it off with just a click, if you hold down on this power button for about a second, you can see that light lit up, and then it's in what they call a standby mode, and that light's going to flash once every few seconds. Just helps you find the light in the dark, which is a useful feature if you have it sitting on your nightstand or whatever other situation where it's not on you, but you want to be able to find it in the dark easily. That's pretty nice. So there's that, and it doesn't normally do that if you just click it off. What else? If you hold down on both the switches at the same time for a few seconds, it flashes and then it lets you know it's in the lockout mode. So in this mode, no matter how many times you click these buttons, or if you hold one individually, then the light won't turn on accidentally. This is good for putting it in a backpack or your pocket or something where you know you're not going to want it for a while. You don't want to have it turn on accidentally. If you're going to be not using it for a long period of time, definitely just take the batteries out. But this is good for intermittent periods of storage. And then to turn it back on, or sorry, to get out of the lockout mode, you just hold down on both the buttons again. Finally, when the light is on, if you hold down on this mode button for about a second, it goes into the strobe mode. Hold down again, and you've got a beacon mode. It just does a brief flash every couple seconds. And then hold down one more time, and you've got the SOS mode, where it flashes out the SOS pattern. So it's nice to have those available, but also not in a place where they're going to get activated by accident very often. You also have direct access to the strobe mode from off by a double click of the mode button. So that's nice feature. It's got the mode memory, so whatever brightness mode you used last, it'll turn on in that when you turn it on and off. But you always have direct access to the turbo mode, the ultra low mode, and the strobe mode from off. So very handy. That is it for the operation and the build of the EC4SW by Nitecore. And oh, well, I should mention here, the W you notice is on the box but not on the light itself. It's because I've got the neutral white version. The W generally stands for like a warmer tint. if I understand their naming system correctly. So, as I said, the EC4SW by Nitecore. Next, we will take it out back and give it a shot in the dark. Alright, welcome back to Review the Light. We've got the Nitecore EC4SW out here in the backyard. We're going to give it a shot, fire it up and give it a shot in the dark. So here we go. And you can see the pattern here. So this is what its beam looks like. As I mentioned, it's got that nice, very large hot spot due to the large emitter, and it's got they call it a neutral tint, but I've always, on the MTG2 emitters and the MTG before them, I've always found it to be pretty warm, on the warm side of what I'd call neutral. So I like those emitters quite a bit. I think they look very nice. I'll shine it up in some trees here, and you can see the spread here. The neutral to warm tint is really nice. If you're not familiar with it, it really helps you identify colors a little bit better than like a cooler tint. Easier to tell in the night what a color is. So that's a nice feature. And starting to heat up here after just a little bit. I can feel the warmth up here near the cooling fins. So they're doing their job, moving the heat out into my hands. It's good to know. And I'm gonna go ahead and take it down to a lower level. So here you can. On my camera, it's not looking quite as bright as it is in real life. I can see plenty with this amount of light. It's plenty for walking around, and great for not tripping over anything and not ruining my night vision. So this is the ultra low mode. Then we've got one step up, which is more of a general. Now I can see, on this mode, I can see anything 50 to 100 feet away just fine. On my camera now you can probably start to see it better. This is the third mode. There's my dog Hercules. He's appreciating the attention. Here's the fourth mode. And the fifth mode here. So that's it. This is the, oh, I guess I'll show you the strobe outside. Here's what the strobe looks like in the dark. The beacon mode. And the SOS. So this is the Nitecore EC4S. Oh, I guess before I finish, I've almost forgot. I wanted to show you also, compare it to the EC4, the previous version. Alright, so here you can see the two beams together. The one on the left here is the EC4. It's got the smaller hot spot, a little bit cooler. And the one on the right is the EC4SW with the warmer tint, larger hot spot. So you can tell with the smaller XML2 emitter, the light is more well focused because it's got that smaller source. So same size of reflector is able to focus it better, but the MTG2 emitter is just putting out more light overall. So that's how they compare if you're thinking about comparing those two emitters. So thanks. This has been Review the Light. Make sure and stop by another day.